Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome live on channel. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome live on Just Online TV. We are here on the program Issues and Realities. This is a program where we discuss socio-political issues in Kwara State and Nigeria at large. So today we will be talking about the Kwara State House of Assembly in the past 1 year, the achievements, the lapses. And today I have with me two big men, or should I say, on my left hand side I have Mr. Ibrahim Sharif Gold. He's SA Media to Kwara State House of Assembly Speaker, Mr. Analyst. You're welcome at show, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
I have with me on my right side, he is a comrade, he's very well known, he's an author, he's a public affairs analyst, Mr. Abdulateef.
Thanks for having me.
Today we will start with, because it is vague. I used to be a student of government when I was in secondary school, and it is very hard to define in practical what the meaning of arms of government is to people like me. So I would like to start with Mr. Ishu. Sir, can you give us a background knowledge of what is arms of government?
Well, thank you very much, and to our viewers out there, I say good evening Kwarans, good evening Nigerians, wherever you are viewing this program. Let me just simply say that arms of government, as the name implies, they are the arms through which government is gleaned and functions. When you look at them, they look like the branches of a tree. The tree can hardly survive without them. And the idea is that in the Greek city where democracy emanated from, people trooped into the marketplace to govern themselves. All of them, not more than 4,000 capacity as at that time. As society grew, the population was becoming enormous, and it was no longer possible to have everybody governing everybody. Therefore, the larger the people, the fewer the people that will represent them and do their job. Hence, the servant leadership emanated from that leaders or rulers should be servants of the people they actually represent. So we have three arms of government as against three tiers of government. Arms of government meaning that the executive that will be executing laws made by the legislature, and of course the judiciary that will be interpreting the laws made by the legislature. If you look at it, legislature seems to be at the middle. So they make laws that will be interpreted and be executed. It emphasizes the importance of a legislature in a democracy. In fact, in American democracy, it got to a point that they were discussing which one is actually the strongest among the three arms. Is it the executive that will execute laws, or the legislature that actually makes the law, or the judiciary? Or based on the fact that the legislature represents the true meaning of representation, in the sense that you have the executive that will pilot the affairs of the nation, but simply because everybody cannot be there, okay, you, this senator, 3 senators from each of the states in Nigeria, represent my interests as an individual, as Abdulateef, be my servant, be my eyes, be my ears at the National Assembly. What I say to you is what you go there to project. So what I'm saying in essence is that legislature is the strongest arm of government because it represents the interest of the people.
What you're trying to tell me is that everyone in the legislature today, they are representing interest of people they are representing, not
in their constituency.
Which means I have a representative, you have a representative.
Of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, if you talk about Athens, you talk about Greek. They started in Athens, and later they discovered that they can't continue going like this. Then somebody had to be at the top. That's why we have the executive. Then what about the judiciary?
The judiciary, as you know, all philosophers, all scholars, all writers on democracy, from Aristotle himself to John Locke to even Niccolo Machiavelli that came later on, they agreed on one fact, that every government has to be ruled by law. And that's why Thomas Hobbes emphasized in the 17th century that a society where there is no law, that society is better described as a social jungle, where life will be degenerated into a state of nature, where life was short, brutish, and nasty. So without law, no society can progress. That Dante emphasizes the importance of judiciary in the three arms of government.
I will agree with you on those things, that about John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, and all those things. But what did we say is that they were talking about what they experienced, the British treatment of the British king then. But that's how we'll come back to that. Let me go to Mr. Good. You're welcome on the social.
Thank you very much.
Let me start with you. You are the media head to the Speaker of House of Assembly. You know better than us. I think over a year ago, what we were hearing is some people had to go, a new set of people have to come in. And God so good, so those people go, and then a new set of people came in. Now, can you tell us how you've been doing these things better? What you have tried to achieve in the last 365 days?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Let me rephrase the beginning of your statement, that you said you are in the last 1 year you are hearing that some people had to go over a year ago. That some people that you are hearing that some people had to go, while some people had to stay. Just like my other co-participant said, that democracy is all about the people, and the people determines whatever happens. So in Kwara, we are not just hearing some people have to go, while some people, new set of people have to come in. It is not about those people going and coming in. It's about the change the people want. So the people decided.
Thank you very much. Like, sir, if I may chip in, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, then what the people want has happened.
Yeah.
Now, like, how have you managed to give the people what they want?
Yeah, I'm coming there. So I just want to rephrase that okay. It is not what you are hearing, and it's about some people. It's not about some people going and some people coming in. Okay, it's about the changes we want in our polity, which is the second leg of your question. Right. And as you rightly said, in the last 1 year, thereabouts, Kwarans worked for change, and the change was realized, which saw the entire member of the Kwara Assembly. We have 24 constituencies, as you rightly said. The 24 honorable members are representing the 24 constituencies of the 16 local governments of Kwara State. So, of these 24 honorable members, we have only one who is a returning member. We call them ranking honorable member. So, who is Honorable Said Bokwala, representing the Jogo constituency of Wafa. And right before then, it decamped to the APC. So, which makes the entire member of the Kwara Night Assembly members of APC. And since then, I can boldly and confidently say that many things have changed positively. And why did I say that? I think in the years past, we have always had a legislature in Kwara State that is usually what we can call rubber stamps, who usually takes whatever comes from the executive just because they are within the same party. Yes, they just take it lightly. And really, we do see a budget scrutiny in the past that went through the rigor that the budget scrutiny of the Ninth Assembly, went through. And everyone in Kwara State alluded to the fact that the budget scrutiny of the Ninth Assembly is a top-notch. They did a very thorough job where every head of ministries, department, and agencies of government, even commissioners, were made, they sweat on their seats. Because everybody were made to answer questions on every budget line or every line of the budget item. Because you have to defer, okay, fine, if we are approving this, what is this meant for? Why do you think we must approve this? Because government is about adding value to the people that elected you. So they must get value for their money. And that money must be appropriated by the House of Assembly before the executive can spend it. Like Comrade rightly said, that the executive only acts on what the legislature approve. because that's the voice of the people. So on behalf of the people, they scrutinize the budget they scrutinize it thoroughly.
Okay,
And till date, we have not seen any legislature, I don't think even in Nigeria, any legislature that has a budget scrutiny as thorough as that of our Ninth Assembly. That is just one. Please, just let me land. Okay. Yeah.
On that budget.
Okay.
You said everybody answered every question on each of the line.
Budget line, yes.
But what I think is that, did you disagree on anything on the budget?
So many things, because right then when we were doing the budget, during the budget process, we were intimating the general public on every issue that are coming up. We have departments where they cannot justify some budget line on some items in the budget. They were dropped. Like in any ministry today, you can go and check. There's no ministry in the years past. They used to approve fund for phone call and other frivolities in past budget. But in the 2020 appropriation budget passed by the 9th Kwara Assembly, there is no such item as phone call, whatever. Because you know what? The position of the House was that if you are not a civil servant, are you not using airtime to make calls? Because most of them, they cannot defend. Who are you calling? The ministry is located in a place. You understand? So who are you making? Like, who are you calling to have this kind of a bogus amount allocated to making phone calls and all of that? So there are so many items like that were dropped, and we also have the issue of the Ivy Tech, which is a tertiary institution in Kwara State. You understand? And as a tertiary institution, it's supposed to be under a ministry. But instead of being under a ministry, just because those people that conceptualize the program and those people that are managing the institution as it were then, they have some kind of political influence on the former governor. You know, the institution was operating in isolation and getting directive from the governor without passing through any ministry. So it makes them unaccountable. So the House of Assembly, before approving their budget, mandated them to go back under the Ministry of Tertiary Where Trusted Bill, so that the commissioner and it can pass through the normal civil service process and routine. So there are so many things that we can talk about in the budget. That is just one of the things we have done. And a long time, you have seen the House of Assembly move very significant motions on issues of public importance. Yesterday, when the Speaker was interacting with journalists, as part of activities marking his 1 year in office, he told them there was issue about this cultism that is recurring again in our society. As far as last year, I think around September, thereabout last year, the House already, moved the motion on how to, curtail the menace of cultism activity in our state. We have had several motions on revamping our health sector, education sector, and several others. And again, when we talk about public institution re-engineering, the House of Assembly have been so instrumental to ensure that our public institutions are, they are more efficient. When I talk about efficiency, you are talking about in terms of cost and in terms of, managing the civil service bureaucracy to ensure that there is some level of hastiness in the decision-making process. So, for instance, the law establishing the free and universal basic education was amended. The law establishing TESCOM was amended, and the law also establishing Local Government Service Commission was amended. And why do they amend these laws? The Local Government Service Commission, TESCOM and SUBEB are under the Ministry of Education. Local Government Service Commission is under the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. So how would any, probably for political reasons in the years past, Local Government Service Commission have a permanent secretary? The Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs have a permanent secretary. SUBEB have a permanent secretary, while it's under Ministry of Education that also has a permanent secretary. So, and this permanent secretary are being paid bogus amount. So the House of Assembly felt, why would a department or agency under a ministry have PAMSEC? Do you understand? Why the ministry also has PAMSEC? So instead of doing that, they also fine. Instead of having PAMSEC in department and agencies under ministries, why not have secretaries in these department and agencies? Then Whatever they have to do, just like every other department agencies, they move it to the permanent secretary at the ministry. So by so doing, we are saving public funds and all of that. Then one other innovation, because when you talk about legislative business, you're not just talking about lawmaking. Because no matter the level of Turunchi, you can speak on the floor of the house. The language the people on the streets understand is we have water, we have road. You understand? We have basic social amenities. So if you speak the whole of Turunchi in this world on the floor of the house and it's not translating to social goods for the people you represent, that means you are a failure, especially in Nigeria context. You understand? You are going to be stoned. So, and as we all know, in state legislature, we don't have what we call constituency projects. Do you understand? At the federal level, we have constituency projects whereby federal government make provision for funds to fund some critical projects that is facilitated by rep member and senators. But the same cannot be said at the state level. But I can tell you for free that in the Night Assembly, every honorable member have one or two projects to point out as their own personally funded projects from their salaries and allowances. You understand? To make sure, okay, fine, we are representing you because we want to bring dividend of democracy to you. You understand? But the government alone cannot do it.
You mean the executive alone?
Yes, but the federal government alone cannot do it. Okay. The state government, the secretary, they cannot do it. So our own quota must also sacrifice. So I can tell you for free that the Honorable Speaker, for instance, he has no fewer than 92 projects that he has executed. We have 70 boreholes and all of that. So many things have changed.
I understand.
Yeah.
I need to go back to this.
Yeah. Thank you.
You live in Kwara State. You've been around for a while, and from the things on the ground, how would you rate the Ninth Assembly?
Well, that's a very complex question. I must commend my brother here. He has spoken like someone who is actually an essay to Kwara State Speaker. The job is a very difficult one, and that's why my one assignment here is simpler than his. It's not easy defending politicians. It is always a difficult task in the sense that you just have to make everything sound positive. And we that we are observing, we want to make everything clearly presented to the public, which might not make our positions to tally. In as much I will agree with him in some areas, and so many other areas I would disagree, in the sense that let's look at it from the fact that the kind of legislature we have in Nigeria was bequeathed on us by the colonial masters, which makes legislature to be answerable to the executive in Nigeria. The kind of legislature that was bequeathed on Nigeria on the eve of the independence was a buzzy one. The whites then would not make Nigerians to have a legislative council. Right from 1861, when we had the first legislation in Lagos, they ensured that legislators were nothing then but mere advisors to the executive. So, fast forwarding that to Nigeria's post-independence, we were not used to a legislature that will be telling the executives or performing their function of checks and balances. So it's either you have it rough or you have it too loose. So if you look at Kwara from 1967, we had long years of military intervention into Nigerian politics which equally affected Kwara. But let's pick from 1999. So if you look at 1999 to 2003 under Lawal's administration, you find a legislature that was completely answerable to Lawal. In 2003 to 2007, we had a legislature that were completely answerable to Bukola Saraki as governor. In 2007, 2011, we had a legislature that was completely answerable to Bukola Saraki. In 2011, 2015, 2019, we had a legislature that were all PDP members and, of course, loyal to the sitting governors at that time. So the first question I will ask is that what has changed in that? We still have a legislature now that is answerable to the governor. Their first assignments when they got to office has pointed to the fact that we still have a rubber-stamped legislature in Kwara State, just as it is in Nigeria. The only time we had it differently were just two occasions. When we had Dr. Chuba Okadibo as the Senate President at the national level, then That was 1999, and when we have eventually, then the year 2000, 39.6 billion for 2020 budget, meaning that is even on the excess. It means we'll be having 3.2 billion naira on monthly basis as IGR. Fatai Ahmed told us when he left office that the IGR we'll be leaving was around 2.3 or thereabout. It might have dropped now under this COVID-19 of the thing. So if you look at it, even if you have it 4 billion on monthly basis, 4 billion on monthly basis, multiply by 12, we give you 48 billion. Let's say 50 billion. Plus the 50 billion coming from the federal government is 100 billion. Where will you get the additional 162 billion? So I'm coming. I want to put the analysis somewhere so that my brother can take it up from there. So if you look at that budget, which one do you satisfy first? Because the recurrent in that budget was set to be 47% of the total budget. The capital expenditure is set to be 53% of the total budget. So if you look at the capital expenditure, you find construction of roads, renovation of schools, and so on and so forth. Now, he said the other time that they want to have, or they have got an assembly that will cut down the spendings in the society. But when I scrutinized the budget, I found out that frivolities is still going on. As much as I will commend the government, the new government, in the sense that people yearn for change and they got it. But we Kwarans, we want development, not the name of the person in the government that matters to us, because that person will go, like the previous one has gone. So what has changed is what we are interested in. So if you give us that kind of budget and we still find out that you allocate about 1.2 billion naira for vehicles of assembly members and some other government appointees, it is on the high side when we have 460 persons as members of National Assembly allocating to themselves 5.2 billion for vehicles. So if that happens, the question I will ask now is, have you purchased the vehicles for the honorable members? Did you remove the money? Are they using the money to construct roads now, or they have purchased the vehicle, or people are not knowing? Now, that will bring me to the question being asked by our brothers in the CSO. No government can survive without having CSO, civil society organization, and so on and so forth. And the question NSU and BBYDI is asking, Brain Builders Youth Development Initiatives are asking is that sign Freedom of Information Bill. I'm coming. Let me sink it down. Let me sink it down. Sign the Freedom of Information Bill so that we will have a transparent government where every details of what you are spending will be clear to Kwarans. What I'm saying in a sense is that while I will not be here to just criticize Kwara State government, I will, as a Kwaran, it will baffle me and I'll be sad at the end of the day if after 4 years, Kwara has not moved an inch in terms of changing the system. Not really, they were doing it this way before, we're doing it this way. So when you now compare the doings, you now find they look same in the mirror. No, we don't want that in Kwara State. We want to move forward so that the past that we said was not glorious should not be revisited. So what I'm saying is that the House of Assembly in Kwara State, let me make it categorically clear, they remain rubber stamp, because you can see the body language of the governor, that where he dances to, the house follow. From the beginning, everybody knew that he chose who became the Speaker of the House. That's one. Two, on the Freedom of Information Bill, if the governor is ready this evening, I stand to be corrected, the Speaker will follow suit. And people have started calling on the Speaker, do not spoil your future. Do not let any government ruin your future for you. This is your own administration as Speaker of House of Assembly. Make a history by signing this bill and let Kwara have access to your finances. All the excuses that they are protected, they are not to show anything to the public. Federal government approval of the act is okay for the state. They are mere rhetoric.
Thank you very much. So the first thing I will ask you is that business used to make, should I call it an allegation?
So many allegations.
What's your principal chosen?
Excuse me, I will not accept the question that way. I think the way to put it is, okay, fine, what is your reaction
Okay,
to
let me.
his
No, like
submissions.
that's the one that
So,
strike me.
so
That's why that strike
so
me.
I won't like to
He
be.
said
I won't like
that
to be stereotyped.
Your principal.
Excuse me. Let me respond to his reactions.
Okay.
So I think that's.
You will remember what caused the brouhaha in the 8th assembly was that you will not choose Senate president for us. I will be the Senate president. Either you support me or not. That didn't happen in Kwara State now.
So
Alright.
let me put it this way. Under self-illusion or probably some theoretical assumption, anybody might feel because it is not being reported that the governor and the speaker is having an argument or whatsoever, then we are not having rubber stamp. Then we are having rubber stamp legislature. What do we call rubber stamp? That is where to start from. Like we said, during the inauguration of the Speaker of the House of Assembly, the process was, covered in visuals. Do you understand? And I don't think anybody can show us where the governor was one of those that said aye or nay while they were electing the Speaker. It's a process. And in a process, for the local government chairman of Ilorin West, where he comes from, do you understand? It is normal for you to lobby. Do you understand? It is normal for you to lobby politically. Okay, fine, honorable from so, you go to them. So if those honorable members, just like the governor contested, every honorable member contested. Do you understand? So if you are trying to be the speaker, you must reach them. But because they are from the same political party, people will say the governor installed the speaker. Do you understand? But as far as I am concerned, and as far as it is, as much as the way it is documented, and as much as Kwarans know, you understand, the process that culminated into the emergence of Right Honorable Saliu Yakubu Danladi, the Speaker of the 9th Assembly. He was unanimously elected by the 24-member House of Assembly. The governor was not even in the chamber. I'm not even sure he was in Ilorin at that time. Do you understand? So
just like Buhari was not in the chamber when.
Excuse me. So if anybody can say, okay, Buhari unpicked Senator Ahmed Lawan, but the voting process was online.
Okay, sir.
Do you understand? You can assess the way individual member voted
Okay.
for Ahmed Lawan and Senator Rep. Bajabe Amila to become the speaker. The same way Danladi was unanimously elected by his colleague. Do you understand? To be the Speaker of the House of Assembly. So, I think that is settled. Because nobody can give us any substantial evidence that Danladi was installed by the governor. If anybody asks, I challenge them to present same to the public. If they cannot present it, then that remains an unfounded allegation. So that is one. Then two, like I was saying, what is called rubber stamp. When he was talking, he said every honorable member comes from their respective constituencies, representing their constituents. The speaker, for instance, comes from Ilesha Gwanera State constituency, representing the people of Ilesha and Gwanera and the villages under it, village and others under it. So, when they elected him because they wanted good governance. And that is what they wanted him to go and get for them at the State of Assembly. Do you understand? So, if in his own conviction, he believes this governor, my people wanted water, is giving them. My people wanted good road, is giving them. My people want good schools for their children, the governor is giving them. Tell me, why should there be discord? You understand? It is when the governor stops doing what his constituents want and they protest. That is when the other assembly member, can now say, okay, fine, the governor, I'm taking you up on this, I'm against you on this, and you must dance to the tune of my constituents. Do you understand? And if that occurs, now as we talk, Ilesha Gwanera Road is of great economic significance, not just to that axis, but to Kwara State. The road have been there, and the former administration, very bogus billions of naira was spent on that road. You understand? Without any level of success. But now this administration have mobilized the contractor. They are back to site. And what I think the billions of naira they allocated to that road was just meant to get to the road to the level of surface dressing. But this government now have approved money for that road to be asphalted. So how would the speaker now fight the governor for, approving fund for the construction of the road leading to his constituency? That is one. Excuse me. Excuse me. So the first asphalted road to be asphalted in Kwara, which is the speaker's hometown, in the issue of that community, since it has been existing, there is no road in that community that was asphalted up to date, as popular as that community is. Today, I can tell you for free that they now have an asphalted road within that community. So tell me, why should the speaker, be agitated when he's attracting development to his people? So many schools in his region is being reconstructed. Why should he be annoyed? You understand? Because this is why he's elected. And he is already fulfilling his campaign promises by the disposition of the governor. So tell me, why should he fight the governor? But if the governor is doing what he wants and what the constituent wants, and it's just okay, fine, I'm okay with what you're doing, he's not protesting. So is he a rubber stamp? So if being a rubber stamp, we take dividend of democracy to the people, then it is good for all legislature to be rubber stamp.
All right.
Thank you. So that is one thing. Okay. Then on the other hand, he did talk about freedom of information. Okay. That some CSOs, they are agitating that he should pass freedom of information and save his future from being ruined. For God's sake, any legislature, they understand, they have the right. They have the right to consider a bill. And when you talk about bill consideration, it's either they accept or they reject. Do you understand? So, and the fact that they accept a bill does not mean it translates to political fortune for them in the future. And the fact that they reject a bill does not mean that it ruins their political future. Do you understand? Since democracy have been in existence, that is when they have been, accepting and rejecting bills. And, the world does not come to an end. So, and that of FOI bill will not be an exception. Do you understand? So, as much as I align with the fact that FOI is good to monitor the finances of the state government and all of that, I also want to allude to the fact that these honorable members, I thank God he didn't say Kwarans or the consent of all the honorable members, they protested and said they wanted FOI. He was only able to mention 2 CSOs that they are agitating for FOI. It is very normal. Right. Do you understand? For CSOs to advocate for, okay, we want this. Do you understand? But the fruition or otherwise of such bill does not determine exclusively the success of a legislature or not. If they didn't attend to FOI, and even the FOI now takes us to a nullification of another of his assertion, where he said they are always dancing to the tune of the governor. The governor sent FOIB back to the house with a written document that he wants it passed, with also clause amended. So right. If they are actually good boys to the governor, I am sure that the same day the governor sent that letter, they will attend to it. But to the disappointment of naysayers who are saying they are good boys and all of that, it is still, they say, okay, fine. Before we came on board, we have our legislative agendas. You understand? And FOI, just came across board while after they assumed office. So fine, let us address, the honorable members, the yearning of their constituents, determine the sequence at which they address issues. You understand? And that is what has been dictating their activities so far. So no blackmail, name calling by any association or CSO whatsoever, you understand, can dictate the tune of what happens in the Night Assembly. The only thing that dictates what happens there is the yearning and aspiration of the constituents of the 24 honorable members. Okay. And not anybody's personal interest, not even the governor's personal interest.
Right. Okay, I'll give you an example. I'll still come back to you.
It's okay.
You say that the FOI bill can be delayed because they have a terrain they're following and they don't want to jump the lines. what would we say about the issue of the assistant local government chairman that was suspended? Almost the same time the government sent the request was made, and then what about the issue of some recovered property and all those things? Were they not jumping terrain then?
I didn't say they were jumping terrain. I said they have their legislative agenda.
All right.
Do you understand? And when you say legislative agenda, what battered Otoge? Do you understand? Which is the political revolution that brought in this new government, was that Kwara's glory is not lost. It was stolen. Do you understand? As for us to set Kwara back to the path of progress, on the path of progress, do you understand? We have to revamp and reclaim our lost glory. Do you understand? That is one of the legislative agenda. So when petitions came in over these illegally acquired state properties and misappropriation of local government funds, you understand? It's aligned with part of their legislative agenda. Do you understand? And they handled it with all level of diligence and objectivity. No local government chairman or the Kwara State Revenue, the then KWHA chairman, none of them, have you seen any of them that said, okay, fine, we are not given fair hearing? None of them have said so. None of them have said, okay, we are not given fair hearing. All you can hear against that investigation is their political talks. But nobody can say, okay, fine, they said this also amount was misappropriated. Nobody have come out. Not even the opposition PDP have come out and say this also amount of money that was said in the report that was acquired by, the chairman, or this also property that was misappropriated by so person. Nobody have come out and say, okay, fine, the report is false.
All right. If we are going to, this is the last time, please, in 2 minutes, can you tell us why these people were suspended for minimum, I think, was 6 months, if I could remember. Yeah. And then, for now, I think it's over 6 months. Why have they not been called back? Because I heard that they are still earning the salaries.
Yes. Well, by the resolution of the Kwara State House of Assembly, then, the House urged the governor to suspend them. Because, the moderate quote, non-abet. Do you understand? You cannot be a judge in your own case. Yes. You understand? So while they are sitting even as a civil servant, if you are being investigated, you have to just step aside. So they asked the governor to suspend them pending the outcome of their investigation. That is the position of the House. The House does not say suspend them for 6 months, suspend them for 7 months, suspend them for 8 months. Do you understand? And after then, it is no more within the confine of the House of Assembly.
And that's where I'm going. It's no more in the confine of the of the House of Assembly. But I could remember I watched the CSO on TV, on Channels TV. He said for 6 months. He said it twice. He said for 6 months. And one thing I'm trying to say is that if they have been found wanting, why don't you just release them and let them bring out their salaries?
The House of Assembly, do you understand, cannot find them wanting. Do you know why? The head of
the executive.
Yes, the executive.
This issue of property recovery and most importantly this issue of the suspension of the local government chairman. What can you say about this?
You know why I'm calm? Letting him have much of the time is because of what I've said earlier, that I'm at no qualms to really defend, in the sense that at this point in time what we want is a changed and better Kwara, not what we've always been having that we said we no longer want. So if somebody like us are now saying same thing, you'll be baffled. You know, I said the other time, and I think he misconstrued what I said by saying that why should the Speaker and the Executive Governor of Kwara State fight? Checks and balances does not mean war. Does not mean you should fight. Just check and balance. You should not be friends. You should not be enemy. So that is just it. That's the concept of the phrase. But if you look at it, the Roman law says, Nemo das quad non habit. You cannot give what you lack. The governor lacks the power to suspend local government chairman The Roman laws at the same time says, Nemudat in causa sua. You should give fair hearing to all parties. The governors, what has really changed? That's on the aspect of local government chairman. And I'm still maintaining my position on the rubber stamping legislature. That look at what is happening to Honorable Agbo in this government. On a final note, I want to chip in. He said, before I forget my point, he said Honorable Speaker is representing his constituency, and if the governor is doing what the constituency wants, he doesn't have anything to have a quarrel with the governor. I disagree with that. Once you become Honorable Speaker of House of Assembly, you are my representative. You are my speaker, even in the Ilorin West local government. So that he represents a part of Kwara North and becoming a speaker is the number 3 citizen of the state. So, and you are representing my interest, not that of your interest. And if you look at it, what they are doing now, this one is constructing borehole, that one is constructing borehole, this one is doing this and that. You'll be baffled that when exactly are we going to discontinue digging boreholes in Kwara State, and in fact, by extension in Nigeria. We should have pipe-borne waters in our homes now. If you are having more than 92 self-funded projects as a speaker, the question people will be asking is that self-funded in your salary in the last 1 year has culminated to carry out 92 self-funded projects. So what I'm saying is that we should disassociate ourselves from the past. I'll be happy if Mr. President will not renege his earlier ascension to that order 10, that we separate the speaker and make the speaker to come out that, look, we are independent and we will tell the governor the right thing to do. Every speaker in Nigeria is afraid of the governor because they have the power to even unseat them. So we should disassociate from the past. We need a Kwara that will develop to our desired level. I mean, that will take Kwara to its Eldorado. As it is now, it's very difficult for me to commend the activities of Kwara State House of Assembly on the basis of the fact that they remain rubber stamp. I think in 2023, we should have different parties in the House of Assembly to have a true representation of what is happening at the national level, where we have different parties represented, and bills will be correctly and toughly debated in the House, rather than body language of the governor carrying what the legislature will tow towards in the state we call the state of harmony.
Maybe you're not following the story very well. The governors are united against the issue of all the thing. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That initially, but now,
one thing, you know, in Nigeria, it is written that if a president gives an executive order, it has to go in line with what is constitutional. Then that executive order 10 is actually constitutional. But this governors forum that is not constitutional is frustrating what is constitutional. What now? Let's leave the Kwara State territory. Let's go to the national territory. Like, what can you say about that? An association that is not constitutional, frustrating a constitution.
Pity my brother here. You know, when you leave office, the reality will be down on you. That have I defended my state well, or I just defended my principle? If you look at what is happening at the national level, you will but agree with me that the political will of Mr. President is very weak. Mr. President is very vulnerable to all sorts of punches. That, because when you occupy an office, it is one thing to qualify, have the decorum. It's another thing. In Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, he said a leader should be both the fox and lion. While a fox will learn how to dodge a trap, a lion will learn how to fight a trap. If you are not combining the two attributes, you are a failure. Nigerian Governors Forum is just wielding unconstitutional power. It's just an association, an assemblage of government just to have a common front. That does not mean they should now be tackling what is constitutional. If you look at Section 121 of the Constitution, Subsection 3, that is having a very close relationship with Section 111, Subsection 1 of the same Constitution, you will find out that no sane governor should have opposed that. Because you said, local governments are autonomous to some extent in Nigeria. You said judiciary is autonomous. Then why don't you want to separate their accounts? The fact that who dictates, who pays the piper dictates the tune, make all speakers in Nigeria to be vulnerable to the governor. Okay, so if Kwara State governor continue paying the salaries, allowances of members of House of Assembly in Kwara State, don't tell me they are not rubber stamp until they are separated by law.
All right, Mr. Aisho, let me come back to Mr. Gun. Let's start with this. The issue of executive number 10 order.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, there is nothing I think about it other than it is the best thing that will happen to a democracy. And Comrade is true. But unfortunately, is tying and untying himself. Why do I say that?
All right. He
said the governor of Kwara State is dictating for the assembly and all of that, and the governors are uniting against the executive of 10 and against the state autonomy. But everyone is aware, everyone that is current about public affairs is aware the stance of the executive of Kwara State about executive order 10. The governor of Kwara State is for legislative autonomy and judiciary autonomy. So any governor, as they claim, that wants to be dictating for the legislature, you understand, will never want it to come to fruition. But the governor came out boldly.
No, there will be necessary intervention. No, I'm just reminding
but the governor,
that they are united now.
Yes, but the governor came out clearly
against us.
The governor of Kwara State came out boldly.
Initially,
it was reported. No, at the moment there is no contrary statement to that effect.
Okay,
that will make you say he has reversed.
All right.
Excuse me, please.
Okay.
There is no contrary statement to that effect that he has reversed his position. The position out there that you can find out is that the fact that he said is for legislative and judiciary autonomy, and until there's any contrary statement to that effect, that stands.
I support him on that.
So
I have a speaker that will be at peace.
Exactly. With himself. You understand? So that stands. So that is number one. Then on number two, while I was analyzing the fact that the synergy between the Kwara legislature and when I made inference of the Kwara State speaker, do you understand? The Comrade here, thank God, is a teacher. You understand? And he should understand the implication of drawing inferences. The fact that he's the number 3 citizen of Kwara State, you understand, is also the honorable member representing Isiaq Gonera State constituency. I'm not ruling out the fact that as the speaker is presiding over the legislature of Kwara State and accountable to all the people of Kwara State, regardless of the local government where you come from. You understand? But the fact remains that he represents Isiaq Gonera people. And I have, as being my principal, I even more beyond Ilorin South local government where I come from, I have more knowledge of what is happening in Isiaq Gonera more than what is happening in Ilorin South. Right. Do you understand? So if I want to draw inference, I will draw inference to Isiaq Gonera. Right. Do you understand? So I'm not saying the speaker is not accountable to the people of Kwara State or whatsoever. That is number 2. Then number 3, on the issue of Honorable Agbola, I have decided I'm not going to comment.
No, I'm just calling your attention to all the.
I'm not going to defend everything. I'm not defending it.
It's on our agenda.
So if it's in your agenda, I will want to consider. I want you to consider this as my submission on the matter.
All right.
Do you understand?
All right.
And I think he has hosted me on 2 or 3 radio programs where we discussed the issue. You see, if I continue to talk on the issue, I've always said on your radio program that Honorable Ogbola versus Nilo. You understand? Not versus Kwara State House of Assembly. So the case even joining the Kwara State House of Assembly was initiated by Honorable Nilo, who is of APC. The case that joined House of Assembly and the Speaker in court is even initiated by this APC member. And if you ask Honorable Ogbola if he's here today, he will tell you that he's back in appeal court. Do you understand? So let us see what comes out of the appeal court, because on this program I've said the case is in several courts. But out of the several courts that the case is in, I think they have concluded that of the High Court that Honorable Nilo went back to, where they joined the House of Assembly, and now Honorable Agbola is back in appeal court.
Okay.
You understand? So, because the case is in court, I will not want to make any further remark on it. And coming to the issue he raised about local government chairman, regardless of the opinion of anybody, I think this local government chairman went to court to challenge the legality of the governor to suspend them or not. And we all knew the court outcome.
The politics.
Are you getting it? We all knew the outcome of the court. So nobody's opinion can nullify the position of the court.
Alright.
Do you understand? So they remain sacked and legally.
Sacked or suspended?
Suspended, sorry. They remain suspended. And against our neighboring PDP states.
Alright.
That sacked, yeah, they sacked the chairman. But in Kwara State, for you to know, it's not just about politics. They were not sacked. They were suspended. And they went to court to test the, legality. And we all knew what came out of it. And I can tell you for free that today, every local government in Kwara State, nobody is touching their fund as wrongly purported.
All right.
You understand? Nobody is touching their fund. They are the ones managing their funds.
Okay.
And
who is managing it?
All right.
The head of local government, they are managing their funds.
All right.
So, and if anybody has evidence, that anybody is going back to collect their allocation from them, they should present it.
But anyone that we head finance of a local government must be elected by the people.
Okay, I will come like this.
So the only person elected now is governor.
The two of you here now.
Okay.
The two of you here now. You're from Ilorin. We are Yoruba. So next time they say the two of and then these people are not elected. They are so like me. They are not
answerable to the governor.
They are answerable to the people because they are, excuse me, they are civil servants.
Right.
They understand, and they are people's servants.
Okay. Wow.
They understand, so they have a procedure that holds them accountable.
All right.
They can be checked too.
Okay, I'm not saying they cannot be checked.
And that is why when they suspended the chairman, the former DPMs and treasurers were also found culpable.
All right.
That's where they are suspended too.
All right.
They understand, so they are also accountable. They can be held accountable.
Okay.
So that's the issue.
I think the public will understand what's happening.
Let's digress a bit. Let's go to judiciary. I think to an extent.
No, before I go to judiciary, let me just say that.
All right.
Honorable Bola, let me cap it all by saying Alakisa Tonjoloru, Bokwe Ile Amolola, a rapt person, dancing naked in the dead of the night. We soon realize his foolishness when the day break. So by the time the dilly-dally court here, court tomorrow, after 4 years of person that is not supposed to be there, spend the 4 years, and court now says Abola should be in. Abola will finish his own tenure right in his own house, and we say that our democracy is going